Mr. Womack here. So I did an interview with a good friend of mine, Andrew Torres. He's a professional drummer located in New York City, literally in New York City. And he's been doing that for 3 years now. We actually played together in my band Twice as Deep. He's a phenomenal drummer, one of my favorite people on the planet Earth. I really hope that you can learn something from him. Even if you don't play drums, I think you can learn a lot about his attitude towards playing, towards practicing, towards just good musicianship, towards just being a good human being. He's got a lot of really good stuff to share. So anyway, I'll get right into it. Here is the interview with Mr. Andrew Torres. Mr. Andrew Torres.
Thanks for having me, dude. I'm really excited about this, and I'm excited that some kids are going to be able to grow and hopefully learn some useful information that a lot of us had to learn the hard way. So,
Right.
But my name is Andrew Torres. I'm 23 years old, and I'm a full-time musician in New York City currently. I was born in Tucson. I was raised in Mesa. And spent my whole life pretty much in the Valley up until I was 20. How my life related to music, I grew up playing a lot in church. And that gave me the opportunity to just kind of grow my craft and be able to connect to some really awesome people that were really patient and kind of guided me to where I am today. So I'm really grateful for that. And then after leaving Arizona, I made the move to New York, and now I'm doing the thing, just falling on my face and getting back up.
That's awesome. So, a lot of my students are in high school. So why don't you tell us what your high school experience was like for you?
Yeah, I did not like high school at all. I was never good at sports. I wasn't into cliques or anything like that. So for me, high school was a very just get in and get out.
Right.
By the time I was in junior high, that's when I was introduced to drums and I was taking private lessons. And that for me gave me a strong sense of an identity of something I had purpose to. So once I was in high school, I kind of had that confidence of I know who I am. I'm just not any of these people. I don't belong here. But once this bell rings and I go home, I can kind of do my thing and do what I am meant to do and want to do. So for me, high school was kind of watching the clock. I was a good student. I did the best I could because I wanted to be sure if I wanted to go to college, I could. But I was very much I'm ready to get out of here.
Right.
And I did concert band and jazz band in high school.
Okay.
Which I do not do naturally. And at the time, it was agonizing. I wanted to quit so many times. And it wasn't until now being in New York that I realized how helpful that information was. And I've used so much of it in the past 3 years. I'm so glad that I stuck it out.
What got you into playing an instrument? What made you want to play drums?
I actually wanted to be a guitar player. I remember asking my grandparents for a guitar, and I got an electric guitar. I got a First Act. And nice. I think for a week I was trying to noodle, and I was just my fingers hurt. I'm not about this. I'm not knocking on anybody who's a guitar player that's listening to this, because I still have a lot of respect for you, and I still wish I could be you sometimes. But for me, just the meticulous nature of so much attention to just my fingers, it was really frustrating. And at this point, I think I was in the 5th grade. And then fast forwarding a year later, just out of the blue, my parents had decided to purchase me a drum set.
That's so random.
Yeah, it was totally random. And it's what parent
yeah, that's the opposite. Usually it's you want to be a drummer? No, here's a guitar.
Yeah, exactly. I'm grateful for that, because like my parents are both, they're both artists in their own way. Nobody's a musician, but I think they wanted me to be interested in something artistic.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I think for so many people, drums are not intimidating because there's something very, I don't know, kind of primal about it. It's like you're just hitting something with a stick. And I
Right.
think that's something that everybody knows how to do, hit an object with a stick. It's very natural and easy. There's like an instant gratification to it that I think draws people to it. And I love that. And it got me. It definitely did, because as soon as I saw those drums in that moment, I got so excited, and I never even thought about if that was something I'd want to do. And once that happened, you couldn't get me off of it. And it was a really cheap, just janky first act drum set. And I played that thing till it like was completely broken. I mean, I remember playing it till the hardware was all broken, the screws are stripped, and it was at the point where I didn't even have like, my stands were all broken. I would just set the drums on the floor, line them up next to each other, and I would play my stereo and just crank it, and I would just play them on the ground. And I did that for probably 6 months because my drums were all just broken, and I didn't care. I was just like, I gotta find a way to play these things. I got them. And it was just fun. It was just fun. I got home from school and I wanted to have fun and just play.
Nice.
And I learned so much from just like trying it and just doing things and not being afraid. And yeah, so that's kind of a long answer to your question. I think what really drew me, what kept me engaged in the instrument was how much fun I had doing it. That it was just like, hit things, make noise.
Yeah.
Like,
I tell my students all the time, man, if I could be a better drummer, I would, because it's so much fun.
It's a blast. It really is.
That's awesome, man. So you said you were getting through high school, with the hopes of, that you could still go to college. So did you go to college? What was that like?
I took a year off after high school. At this point, I was playing a lot in churches. This isn't necessarily popular in New York where I'm at now, but in Arizona, California, a lot of places with larger churches, a lot of times they'll hire out their musicians. Took a year off. I was playing around. I was in a band that was really good. I wasn't making any money doing that, but it was kind of a investment of time. I wasn't a big school person, so I just said, I want to take a year off. I don't know what I want to do. I'm not sure I want to pour money into school. So I did initially, after graduating high school, actually kind of backtracking. I was planning on going straight to university. I was looking at Arizona Christian University. I had some friends over there, and I was looking to be a part of the music department. I went to the school. I did auditions. It went really well, and they were offering me a lot of scholarships. But it was a lot of scholarship money.
Right.
And so I was just like, all right, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. I graduated high school. I got to go to college, just kind of check the box. As time went on, and as I was like talking and meeting with musicians that were doing it full time, I realized two things. One is, for me, I felt like for what I would have spent attending school there, I could have got a much better education in music at a state university. And it would have costed me around the same price. So that was somewhat of a red flag for me. I'm a bit of a realist with big decisions like this, and I really just like kind of lay out all the information in front of me and try not to be emotional about the decision, which I was very much when I was auditioning and talking to the representatives at the school. The second thing was I was meeting so many people that were making a living in music that either didn't have college degrees or had college degrees in something completely different than music. And it was kind of breaking that stigma or stereotype that if you want to do something full time, you have to go to college. And I think for a lot of vocations, that's true. I'm not saying college is a bad thing. And mainly for what I wanted to do, I wanted to play music. I wanted to tour. I wanted to be playing drum set. I'm not interested, at least right now, I'm not interested in playing in like Broadway theater. And a lot of the people that went to school, those were the things they were doing.
Right.
Broadway theater, they were doing like orchestras, concert bands, and that just wasn't and still isn't where my passion is. So long story short, I ended up backing out on going to that school. I did the gigging thing for a year, and then my parents were essentially like, you either have to work full time or you have to go to school. So I was like, okay, I'll meet you in the middle. I'll work part time and I'll take 2 electives. so
like
I took, so I took big band at Mace Community College, which is a fantastic school. If you're interested in going to a college and you're on a budget and you're interested in jazz studies, highly recommend Mace Community College. They have great teachers. They have great programs. I did big band and I did combo jazz band, which is like small jazz bands that are comprised of like 5 people-ish.
Right.
I did that for about a year. And again, it just wasn't for me. I thought I wanted to be a jazz player, and I thought I had to be in order to play music full time. And I kept meeting musicians that were like, yeah, I don't play jazz, but I do this full time. And I spent so much energy on trying to get good at jazz that I started to kind of resent it. It wasn't a natural style for me. And I was investing a lot of time in it, and I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I felt like if I don't have to be really, really good at this to play music full time, then why am I like frustrating myself with it? That being said, I learned it to a point where if I'm on a wedding gig, I can play a Frank Sinatra song, or like a bossa nova of some sort. But I don't think I enjoyed it or appreciated it enough to invest like years of my time trying to be really authentic in Latin and jazz.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this question. So you and to this point, I feel like this kind of connects as far as like with your talent and your skill. Like, do you feel like you're more on the gifted side of things, or do you feel like you're more on the like I had to really work hard, or somewhere in between? Like, where do you think your skill level falls?
Yeah, it's fine. I was just having a conversation about this with my fiance. She said she does photography for fun, and she very much isn't interested in investing any time in it to make it something more than that, which is fine. She's got a natural eye. She just doesn't want to like do weddings full time, so that's cool.
Sure.
But I have our friend group is a lot of artists. So one of my friends is a graphic designer. She's at ASU. And she's about to graduate. She does fantastic work, just amazing. And my best friend and best man, he is into film. So he's in film school right now, and he directs, does cinematography, a fantastic guy, really great dude, hard worker, and he's planning on moving to New York as well. And I'm a musician full time. So my fiance says to me after we were looking at some work from my friend, she said, all my friends are so talented and so gifted. And I'm just like, I make coffee, because she's a barista. And I kind of stopped her and I was like, wait, why would you say that? All of us have the same amount of natural talent as you do. You have a natural eye for photography. If you wanted to be really, really good at this, like professional at it, all it would mean is you investing the time. You're comparing us who have invested years of our lives devoted to this one thing that we had a small amount of natural ability for. You're comparing where we're at now to where you're at in photography, when like you haven't explored what that looks like for you if you were to invest years and hours of your time each day to this. You would be right there with us. And I'm not saying that makes her like worse or better than us. It's just it's the reality of the situation. If you're interested in getting really good at something, you have to put in the time. And if you don't put in the time, then you have to accept that it is where it is, and you can't be upset about that.
Yeah.
So that being said, for myself, I feel like my natural talent peaked when I was in high school. And moving to New York City, that was scary, because I realized my natural talent has gotten me as far as it can.
Mm.
And now is the time when I have to invest 3 hours a day in practicing,
Wow.
because I have friends that are very naturally gifted at what they do, and they can hear a song and play it right away. I'm not that guy.
Gotcha.
I'm the guy that has to spend, 5 days, 2 hours a day to learn like a 10-song set list for this pop artist I'm playing for. It's frustrating sometimes, but it's no different than the kid who would take the test and he wouldn't study and he would get
Right.
100% and you studied like every night for 7 days and you got like an 80. That was me in school too.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not like unfamiliar with what that position is like.
Yeah, that's good, man. No, having experience with you firsthand, us doing shows together and different events and whatnot, I definitely can attest that you always were doing your homework and you always wanted the songs ahead of time. And you weren't like any of the other musicians that, I didn't even know if they'd looked at the song list before we got to the gig,
Yeah.
I always knew you knew what songs I was playing better than I knew what songs I was playing.
Yeah. I'm still that guy.
That's
Definitely.
awesome. I love it. I love it. That's great. So you've gone on tour now. So what was that like? You can tell us who you toured with and what was that like?
I did like two really extensive tours and a couple out of town shows and then one small tour with this. Basically, it's like a Buddy Holly tribute band. If you don't know Buddy Holly, he's just a big influence on rock and roll music. I mean, you'd listen to him now and you're like, this isn't rock and roll.
Right.
But he was like kind of like a pinnacle of rock and roll. Like the Beatles were inspired by Buddy Holly.
Right.
Came from the 50s. So this band, basically, they take music from Buddy Holly, from this guy, the Big Bopper, Richie Valens, who does that song La Bamba that everybody knows. And they kind of modernized it. They made the show something that your classroom's age, something that they could be interested in and engage in, not just something for old people.
Right.
So we're like doing tricks on stage. I mean, the bass player's like standing up on her upright and spinning it. The guitar player jumps on top of her bass and is playing a solo. It's a really fun show.
Awesome. I can
Yes.
I can confirm that it is a fun show. Yes.
It is a fantastic show. So I actually just stopped playing with them, but touring, and I was just itching to tour. So these guys were my first opportunity to really do that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a bit grueling. It's funny, I have a friend who plays Billie Eilish right now, actually.
Wow.
He moved to LA when I moved to New York. And a couple months ago, I was texting him because Billie Eilish was just blowing up, doing national tours. And I was just like, how's it going, man? Like, what's been happening with the tours? Are you enjoying it? And he said they were out for, I think, 220 days out of the year.
Wow.
Jumping on planes all the time, doing international stuff. And he said, the travel is terrible.
Right.
He said, in a lot of ways, you're getting paid for the travel and the playing you do for free.
Right. That's great.
And I was like, that makes sense. And I experienced it firsthand. It's true. It can be grueling. And I mean, this guy's on like tour buses and airplanes. I was in like a Sprinter van with 6 people.
Yeah.
So
and all your gear.
Yeah, exactly. So that's rough. Like we're trading off driving. We don't have a bus driver. You're stopping at gas stations and trying to resist the temptation to live on garbage. And now I'm vegetarian, and these guys would stop at McDonald's.
Yeah, what are you gonna eat there? Fries?
Wendy's every time we were on a long drive. So like that took some getting used to for me. Like not just like the food situation, but budgeting my money.
Yeah.
Like you're on the road and you don't have the comforts of home that just come to you for free, like your pantry with snacks in it.
Right. Yeah. You can't just be like, I'm going to go see what's in the fridge.
Yeah. So it's really easy to just be at a gas station, see something and be like, oh, I want it home. Like it's going to make me feel kind of comfortable and at home again. You're essentially living with 5 people or however many people are in the band that you're touring with. And if everybody wants to go out to eat, are you going to be the guy that just sits in the hotel alone?
Right.
And like, especially if you're the new guy on the gig, like you kind of want to get friendly with them. You want to build a relationship because that's job security.
Yeah.
So you're going out to eat a lot. You're like, everybody's financial situation is different. Some
Yeah.
people are like, yeah, I'll take the main, a drink, and an appetizer. And I very much am the guy who's like, what's $10? I'll just take whatever that is.
Right, right.
And then being vegetarian, it's like, okay, so that's French fries and grilled cheese every time.
Every time.
So the playing was great. I really enjoyed the playing. It was fantastic seeing new people, being in new places. But I learned really quick the importance of budgeting, eating healthy, being physically active.
Right.
I'm not physically active at all. And I live in New York, so I'm
Says the
walking
drummer.
yeah. Well, I guess. I live in New York, so I'm walking all the time. But when I was on tour for a month, I was not walking.
Gotcha.
I wasn't like practicing because I'm on tour.
Yeah, you're just
There's
setting
nowhere to
up,
practice.
sound check, perform,
Yeah.
tear
I
down,
mean, exactly.
do it all
And
over.
the setup teardown is grueling. So I think you really have to make sure that you're in physical shape to handle that. And I started jogging a lot this past tour that we did. So those were kind of the surprises that I wasn't necessarily expecting, but I caught on real quick. And I actually
Nice.
bought like a refrigerated grocery bag.
Wow.
And I
Nice.
started buying produce and frozen dinners.
There you go.
And like eating that stuff a lot. Which, you know, some people are like, well, look at this loser. And I was like, look at my bank account. Am I still a loser?
I mean, how much can you really enjoy gas station food and drive through, you know?
A lot. Jeremiah, you can. I mean, fast food is good, man.
Oh, come on, come on. So would you do it again? Would you go back on tour?
100%. I would do it.
100%?
I mean, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Right on.
Right now, at least. I'm sure that'll change once I have a
For
family.
sure. With that, would you change anything with where you're at right now? Like, what would you tell yourself like 10 years ago? Like,
Yeah. Practice more. I was very lucky to have people in my life that had a lot of perspective and that were patient with me. And I don't think I was ignorant, but I was a little just uneducated. I grew up in a very sheltered household, not that there's anything wrong growing up like this, but I was very sheltered in a very Christian household that was in the suburbs, in a white community.
Yeah.
That like I didn't know struggle. I mean, my parents were poor at times, but I never knew it. Like
Right.
We were never like starving. And I just didn't understand how to connect with people like that. I didn't understand that walk of life of being a different ethnicity and struggling and not having the same opportunities granted to you, of being poor and having to like work to help your family pay rent.
Right.
I didn't understand that, and I had a very narrow mind about those things, about how people just need to work harder and just try harder and stop complaining because life isn't that bad. And when you're in music full time, you're with those people all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Because those are the creatives.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I was really intimidated at the idea of playing in a bar and having to be friends and make friends with people that could be my potential employers later on.
Right.
They want to sit there and like have a drink. And it's like, I learned really quickly that I didn't mean I had to do those things with them, but it meant I had to find a way to be my authentic self and not be uncomfortable with the fact that they were holding a beer.
Gotcha.
Or that they were swearing or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the reality is, like, any job you're working with people that are different from you, like nobody's gonna be, and, Bill is just Bill in accounting. You don't really learn like too many deep things about him unless you're like at lunch with him.
Right.
But in music, I mean, we're playing a show for 45 minutes, an hour at most. And we're spending a lot more time practicing, traveling, eating before the gig, after the gig. That's a lot of time where we're not working technically.
Right. Yeah.
And I learned really quickly that I needed to find a way to be comfortable with people that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with because I didn't grow up around people
Good
that
stuff.
challenged my opinions. That if I could go back 10 years, I think that would be the most important thing that I could tell myself. Be open to that and recognize that human beings are human beings. You need to find a way to connect with everybody.
Yeah.
Not just because you have potentially some financial gain from it because it could get me work, but because that's what decent people do.
Right.
And for me, music has challenged me a lot in that way. And it's made me, I think, a better person outside of music. Just
That's
being
awesome.
able to talk to somebody and kind of relate to them, even though I have no experiences that I can relate to them, but feel comfortable and not feel like I'm better than them or that they're hopeless, that there's no hope for that guy. He's partying, he's drinking, he's lost. I don't want to stand in the same room as that guy.
Yeah.
That was something I had to learn, and it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little challenging.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really good. That's really, really good. So now on a less serious note, electronic drums.
Okay.
I hate it.
Oh, this is so tough. Okay, so I'm trying not to be too long-winded.
Hold on. I gotta give a caveat here.
Okay.
Andrew is by far one of the most articulate drummers I've ever played with. Now, what I mean is he knows exactly what he's going to do before he does it. Like you told me yourself, you have a hard time coming up with a drum solo. You're like, I just do whatever, but that's not you. You don't just do whatever.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out. And so the way you play the drums, every hit, every place you hit it, every, velocity and intensity that you use on the kit, I don't think a lot of drummers do that. I really don't. Like, I feel like you're very rare in that. And so I definitely think that like that can't transfer to an electronic kit at all.
I appreciate that compliment. That's I spent a lot of time on that. Yeah, I mean, I will say they're getting better. They're getting really good at replicating intricacies that are just you can't really recreate. The thing about drums, I think any instrument is like this. When I listen to MIDI guitar on Logic or GarageBand, it sounds awful.
Right.
There's so many variables that I feel like a computer program would have to kind of emulate.
For sure.
It's just like an endless number of little things that make the sound just a little different every time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I could hit a cymbal in the same spot 3 times in a row and it would sound completely different 3 times in a row.
Absolutely.
No matter how articulate and disciplined I am and how I'm hitting it, that's just the nature of a piece of metal. It's not going to do the same thing exactly twice. In that regard, when I play electronic drums, I am not inspired. I feel there's little things on a real drum set that I enjoy that suddenly are stripped away from me. Things that are a part of my sound, that now I have this kind of robot in front of me that's like, I can do it better. Like, I can make it sound the same every time. And it's so funny because, like, yeah, it sounds the same every time, but it sounds really weird that it's the same every time. Like, I kind of like when my snare sounds slightly different each time. Just a little bit, because it sounds real. Most of my time now moving to New York City is spent on pop music, which in a lot of pop music, I mean, they don't even record live drums. And it's funny because I used to hate that kind of music. Now I love it. Like, that's what I want to play full time. Playing pop music, I had to start embracing electronic sounds a lot. I mean, these artists are playing songs where there's like snaps and claps and 808 kick drums or really tight sounding hi-hats. I can only get so close to that on a real drum set. So I started having to embrace electronic elements, a hybrid kit where there's electronics that I'm hitting that trigger sounds. Maybe on the chorus, I'm jumping to an actual drum set. I used to be so anti this. I'll be honest, it's a lot of fun. So I think when you blend the two, the electronic elements can be kind of an artistic expression. Like, it's just another paintbrush that you have in your tool basket.
Yeah.
But just like if I'm painting a picture, like, I don't want just the color black. So like, let's say like black is organic drums and white is electronic. I don't want just one or the other. Like, it can't really paint a good picture. But if I have both, like, suddenly think about the years of black and white films that we enjoyed. I think electronic drums is just another color. There's a healthy way to use it, and for everybody in every style, that's different.
Tell me a band or album or something that like changed your life?
An album that changed my life?
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to pick something that I feel like younger people would like take too. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone here to make sure I picked the right one. Okay, Snarky Puppy, We Like It Here.
Nice.
That album,
Nice.
that was probably the album where I saw people playing and I was like, I need to start taking this a lot more serious than I am.
Yeah, that's some wow. This is
Yeah.
really cool and intimidating.
Yeah, I watch the YouTube videos, like watch the live
Yeah.
videos, because it's just you see it and you want to play music that's more complex than just like 4 chords.
Right.
Very inspiring.
Yes.
Even if you can't. I remember like watching those videos and then like jumping on my kit and trying to play along and just like falling apart, but like being like, I can't stop, I gotta try and make it through the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really inspiring, fun music, and it has a lot of like hip hop and pop elements too.
Yeah, for sure.
It kind of, for me, it was like jazz is still cool. So if anybody is into like funk or hip hop or pop or jazz of any sort, definitely check that album out.
Very awesome. If you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be doing?
The age-old question. That's such a good question. I'll be honest, like going through, I mean, for anybody who's going to watch this later on, I don't know if there's going to be in some database of some sort, like right now going through the COVID-19 outbreak.
Right. Yeah.
I am unemployed currently. I was lucky to have some savings in the bank, so I'm not concerned, but I am not working. And there has been times I'm not working and I'm a drummer, so I can't just practice and play anywhere.
Right. Yeah. You can't just pull out a guitar and start going. Yeah. You got to set up and make sure the neighbors are okay with it.
Yeah. So in New York, that's impossible. I'm in Arizona right now, but and my rehearsal space in New York actually just got closed down temporarily. Wow. So a lot of musicians are just dying to play, a lot of drummers. It's kind of put me in a place where I'm like, what would I want to do if I could never do this again?
Wow.
That used to scare me a lot, but to be honest, like I'm totally open to doing something else. Like if I experienced or found something else, I would be down for it. My initial answer would be, and I don't feel like it counts, so I'll give 2 answers. I would do sound full time if I wasn't a musician.
Okay.
But that's still kind of related to music. So I feel like that's a cheat.
It is, but it isn't. So in all fairness, the best sound guys are musicians.
Right. But I'm not a musician in this scenario.
Well, so anyway, okay, you go.
Second, I think I would just anything where I'm connecting with people, helping people become a better version of themselves, I guess. I don't know. I like talking to people and helping them work their problems out. So maybe I would be interested in like being a therapist.
I could see that.
Possibly.
I could see that.
A counselor of some sort. Yeah, I could see myself doing something like that. Or maybe just working at McDonald's, flipping burgers for $15 an hour. They are our unsung heroes right now.
It's pretty funny in this situation. Here we are, 2020, and there's no sports, there's no concerts, there's no, going to the movies.
Yeah.
Like we're like, man, I'd love to get some drive-through.
Yeah, right.
It's like the height of our day now.
It's so funny because like the sports were canceled pretty quickly, I feel like.
Like the first thing.
And I think a lot of musicians were like, oh, whatever, just quit your whining.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Just sports. and then all our gigs got canceled. And we're like, this is terrible. We need entertainment. The world needs entertainment.
One last question. This is the most important one. Can you share an embarrassing time while on stage?
Oh.
It could be the most embarrassing or, an embarrassing moment. The juicier the better, obviously, because given the audience, you know what I'm saying? This is going to be junior high school.
Okay. I have 2 stories. One of them is like half mine and half a friend of mine. And that's definitely the juicier story, but I'll tell the one specifically relating to me first. Like I said, I was doing a lot of church work after I graduated high school for a year. And there was this one church, pretty big church, just high production value. I mean, lighting, the stage, the instruments, they all had in-ears, so like everybody like had control of their own, like whatever they were hearing in their headphones so they could hear themselves. And they used backing tracks. And if you're not familiar with backing tracks, all it is the band is playing to a metronome that keeps them on time. And you have this track that's like other instruments that aren't necessarily playing live on stage, but they're in a recording. This church used a lot of tracks, which is fun. I was in charge of those tracks, which I had never done before.
Oh, wow.
The room was packed out with, I think, 700 people, different churches all across the valley. And it was like this really big worship night, like an hour and a half of worship. The whole night started with the lights are black, like completely dark. We're on stage waiting to play. There's this video. It's really inspiring, really emotional. And it finally like gets this last big, like, we're going to worship now. And I'm supposed to start the first song with the track. So the lights start going up and I start the track. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, okay, tempo's right. Closing my eyes. I'm getting like psyched. All of a sudden, the worship leader runs up to the laptop next to me. He turns it around and he quick stops it. 700 people just staring at us. I started the wrong song.
Oh, man.
Right at the beginning.
Nice.
And this was being live streamed, by the way.
Oh, man.
So he had to come, run over, fix the song, start it, and it was just not the start to
get ready to rock.
Yeah.
The wrong song.
Yeah, and there was like this song, like really gentle piano right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never called me again.
Oh, that's not even your fault, man.
I know.
That's not even your fault.
Good thing is they had a total power outage because there was a storm for about 10 minutes, like total blackout. So I kind of felt like that overshadowed my mistake.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody remembers what happened with you now.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But, so with this Buddy Holly band that I was touring with, we used some metronome and some backing track as well with like some hand clapping. And I had built those tracks. And in the track that we're listening to in our headphones, so this is, the audience isn't hearing this. This is just us, like a metronome. I kind of put in like little funny things, like inside jokes. I put in like a couple fart noises.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like on the last note of a song, it would be like, that, and like we're the only ones that can hear it. And you know, we're on stage like having a good time. So it just looks like we're like, oh yeah, that was fun. But like the audience doesn't know we're just dying of laughter inside.
That's great.
At the beginning of the show, there's like an introduction. I put Smash Mouth by All Star playing in our ears, like an instrumental version.
Oh, that's amazing.
I put like, we had a song with like stomps and claps. Yeah. So, and it was like the same tempo as Hollaback Girl. So I put like Gwen Stefani's intro in our ears as we're playing. Just funny stuff like that. I think I had a Bernie Sanders thing happening at one point. So anyway, a friend of mine took over this gig recently.
Oh, no.
KJ Eason, actually. If you interview him, you should definitely ask him about this.
I will.
And so I talked to him about it. I was like, this is just like a funny channel. You can turn it off. Like the band really likes it. So like try and leave it in. Like it kind of breaks up the monotony of the show. I was like, cool. So they do a couple shows on a tour that I wasn't a part of. And I called my buddy KJ to ask him how the shows went. And he tells me, you know that all those funny sounds you had, I had them being sent to the audience by accident.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, how long, KJ, was this happening until you noticed it? And he said, the whole first act.
Oh, my God.
The first act is an hour. The first act includes, I know. And the first act includes All Star by Smash Mouth, the fart noise, And Gwen Stefani singing Hollaback Girl. That means and majority of our audience was over the age of 60.
I was getting ready to say, what was the audience?
Yeah.
That's great.
That means they heard this fart noise. I was talking to the music director about it. He said when the Hollaback Girl came on, he was on bass for this song. He said he just started like slapping the bass, like just trying to make noise to cover it up. I was dying of laughter.
That is beautiful.
The audience enjoyed the show.
I want video.
I'm hoping that gets leaked out.
Yes.
That could be the end of the band, so they're probably doing whatever they can to make sure that doesn't happen. But no, it's all good. Stuff like that happens.
That's awesome, man.
It was great.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's good stuff, man. That is
absolutely.
Yeah. And this is actually a very important question, but so where can the students find you? Like, where could they look you up? That's a good place to follow you on the social media website. What's that good stuff?
Yeah. So my website is just AndrewTorresDrums.com, Andrew Torres with an S, drums.com. And then my Instagram is the same. I don't really use Twitter or Facebook. So, and I also do private lessons too. So I do Skype stuff as well. And I also come out to Arizona a lot. So if anybody's ever interested in doing any of that, feel free to hit me up or just email me and ask me questions. I'm totally cool to answer that.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. I love you, man.
Love you too, bro.